Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Cut Podcast. This is where we chop it up with the world's finest. Today I'm here with
Miguel, and I am a co-founder of an e-commerce agency where we help celebrities, brands, and organizations monetize their platforms.
And today I'm going to be cutting his hair and asking him those deep cut questions that you guys won't want to miss. Check this out, guys.
My name is Miguel, and I am a co-founder of an e-commerce agency. We started it in Toronto, but now we ship worldwide. Like we've shipped things to Australia, to India. There's so many places that we have brought our products to. And the name of the company is Artivist. This was I have creative agency experience, and I also have e-commerce experience. And what I did is I combined both of these skills and industries, and now we help celebrities, we help brands, we help organizations monetize their platforms. We help nonprofit organizations with fundraising on digital platforms like for example, it could be a website. But
was it easy for you to get into that space though? Like when you just started working?
It was not easy. This was really like an uphill battle, but it was a very unique experience where I started this as a part-time thing. I started as just merch. Like I would just kind of like service clients that needed merch. And then I started to understand how this could be something bigger because of my e-commerce experience. So it then became, hey, we can help you create this hoodie, but let's sell 1,000 of them, and let me help you make that happen. So that's kind of where the journey started with merch, but it's evolved into something so much more complex that is very difficult because you're managing relationships, you're managing accounts, you're trying to keep people happy, you're trying to deliver a good product, and there's so many different layers to e-commerce.
So you said you started, but you also work in LA and Canada. What would you say about the two environments? Would you say one's easier or one's harder, or like what would you say? What's your opinion?
Yeah, that's a good question. I tell people all the time where, and just to give you kind of like a little bit of background on me, like I grew up in the States. I grew up in Atlanta, and so I understand the culture there. And I've also seen how things work here. I've been here almost 20 years now, and Toronto, in my opinion, is a boot camp. I think there's a lot of talented people here who work really hard, but in my opinion, they won't really shine and get the recognition that they deserve until they bring it to the States. And
do you have any examples of that?
Oh, there's so many examples. I mean, okay, like I'll tell you like my first e-commerce product. I was working with this brand. It was it's called U.S. It was a cell phone holster, and it actually was very big in the barber community.
Oh, really?
But what was very interesting, this idea was born in Mississauga. This is an idea that was like born in Mississauga, brought to like Queen West. But people here weren't really responding to it,
Why do you think?
It's very interesting. I have a lot of reasons why I think people weren't, but I guess I'll explain to you first, like the contrast. So this particular product, when I took it to America, people would stop me whatever I was doing. I could be at a restaurant, I could be like at a shopping mall, I could be walking. People would literally stop and ask me where I got the product.
Really?
Meanwhile, here in Canada, well, in Toronto specifically, not because Canada's different, but just Toronto specifically, people would look and they'd stare, but they would hesitate coming up to me.
Well, why do you think that is?
I think in Toronto we have a very big emphasis on being cool. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to come off as trying too hard. We don't want to come off as like being too eager. Meanwhile, the American culture is one where like that rewards being eager, that rewards trying hard, that rewards like going out there and
putting your best foot forward.
Putting your best foot forward and having conversations with people and being open to like different ideas. We're not open to different ideas here. And to continue that story, this product blew up in America. We were getting love from everybody. We were getting like Michael B. Jordan hitting us up. We were getting like major NBA players. We were getting so much love in America. And here, we weren't getting the same love until people started to see on social media that we were popping like that. That's when the sales started to come in. But that being said, 80% of our sales will store in America.
Really?
80%, because it's just the population, you know, like you know, Canada has a population of around 38 million. The U.S. has a population of over 300 million, and it's the biggest economy.
So, this is gonna be a really crazy question, but what do you think, I don't know, maybe an e-commerce brand or something would need to do except like recognition in like the United States, just in Canada, to like really like have a crazy product in Canada? What do you think they need to like do specifically?
So to have a product that would be successful in Canada?
Yeah, mainly without just recognition.
Without American recognition?
Yeah, what do you think?
That is a very interesting question. Yeah, I think the things that work well here are things like, let's say it's Toronto, things that are very Toronto centric. So people really appreciate that in the city. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll see, for example, the pages that perform really well on social media are the ones that can say, hey, like this is my experience in Toronto, or check out this experience. You know what I'm saying? Like people love tuning into that stuff. You know, so in that, you know, to answer your question, I think it would have to be something that
dedicated towards the city?
Dedicated to the city or dedicated towards Canada.
Okay,
and whatever that may be, maybe it's a collaboration with the Maple Leafs, you know, and it could be, you know what I'm saying, it doesn't have to be a licensed collaboration, it could be something else, you know. There's something, I think, but kind of, and I want to make this very clear, you can work really hard in Canada and make something pop, but if you put the same amount of effort in the United States, it's like 5 times to 10. It's like 10x. You know, you'll put the same amount of time, you'll put the same amount of effort, but when you put that time and effort and energy in the United States, you're gonna get 10x. So that's kind of like what I've encountered over the years, where you can work really hard here without seeing real results. I've been blessed where I've been able to be on both sides. I've been able to be in America and I've been able to be here, and it's not even close.
So what advice would you give to the young, young hustler in Canada right now to really, I guess, start popping off in Canada, not in the States?
If you're a young hustler in Canada and you're in another city, if you're in Saskatchewan, if you're in Saskatoon.
Yeah.
If you're in Saskatoon, if you're in even Vancouver, if you're in Montreal, well, Montreal's a very important city, but at the same time, like you need to come to Toronto. So I feel like Toronto is like the next step, and you need to be downtown.
I agree.
Downtown is going to change your life if you're coming from all these other cities, and you're going to be here. The energy is gonna, the energy is just different. I have lived in downtown pretty much my whole experience in Canada. I came here when I was 18 years old, and I lived on my own.
Nice.
It gets even crazier, man. Like there's so much more to that story. I was homeless at 18 years old. I was living in a refugee shelter, and I didn't know anybody in the city. I had one friend in the city, and I was determined to make something happen. I was determined to make something happen. I did what I had to do to kind of like be in, to make an impact. And within 2 years of me being in Canada, I bought my first real estate property.
That's great.
But that was a different time. That was when you could buy a townhouse for like $200,000. You can't do that now. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, you can come to Toronto from these other cities in Canada and really make things happen. However, it's very difficult. And I've met so many people that come here from other cities and they just can't.
They can't do that.
They can't do it. They can't. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't hang.
Is there what do you see for the future of e-commerce? Like let's say in the next 5 years. Actually, just future in general. What do you see for it then?
Digital products. Digital products is the future. People are not buying physical merchandise as much as they used to. I think everything's going to digital products in terms of streaming is very big. Virtual reality is popping.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be essentially online and in the future, and our reality is going to be online. I tell people this all the time. Like, if you really think about it, 80 to 90% of your social life is online. If you really think about it.
Yeah.
If you really think about how many people you interact on a regular basis, 80 to 90% is online.
You think more people communicate with other people through online.
100%. Think about how many messages you've sent today to people. Think about how many people you've contacted this week online and you didn't even see in person.
Do you think that's weird though? Like as a person,
I think it's the future. I feel like.
What would you rather have? Yeah.
I appreciate it, and we have what we can do is just like make the most of that landscape and take advantage of that landscape and prepare. However, I really appreciate the human connection.
Yeah.
I feel like that is what's missing, and you know, we were talking about relationships earlier. I feel like relationships are becoming harder because our life is now online.
Oh, you're completely right. Well, I have a random question. What's your opinion on the dating life in Toronto?
Oh my goodness, it's so bad.
No?
It's so bad. And the thing is, like I have a toxic relationship with Toronto. I love the city. I love so much about the city.
Yeah.
However, it's just a very toxic environment. It's a very toxic environment in terms of, you know, the dating scene. You know, there's really, it's kind of, it's hard to put my finger on it, but it's just not a pleasant experience.
What if you were to describe Toronto's dating scene in one word, what would you describe it with?
Oh man, like
one word.
Bro, trauma.
Trauma.
Yeah, like trauma. Like that is the highs and the lows here are so extreme. Yeah. The highs and lows here are crazy. And I've never experienced this anywhere, and I've like, to be real, the United States in terms of dating is much more calm compared to what we experience here. It is.
Like in terms of like people aren't cheated that much out there. And
I think people are cheating more here.
Really?
To be honest, and I think they're more open about it. Like while they're
in Toronto.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think people aren't really trying to hide. You know, like they're not trying. You know, they're just kind of. They're what is it? They're
openly.
Well, like, you know, we have this whole everybody's like, I'm trying to live my best life, you know. But we're not considering other people's feelings in the process, and I'm guilty of this, you know, and I think the reason I'm guilty of this is because I've been here for 20 years and I've been shaped by this environment.
By the city.
Oh, when I like it's kind of crazy, and when I tend to date a lot in the States. And when I date in the States, it's so easy.
Yeah.
And what I will say is, like, and I'll tell you this, like, I feel like being a guy from Toronto, we stand out in the States.
Why?
We just have like a different. We're just
different.
We're just I don't know. We just have like a different energy.
Well,
we have.
It's just because we're like nice people.
But not just that. I think, like, to be honest, I think there's more just the energy. It's just more attractive. We're very well spoken. I think there's a sophistication to growing up in Toronto. There is, where if you go to another city, you know how to move.
Advanced.
Yeah, you're advanced. Oh my goodness, I hear this from so many people. I hear from people in LA and New York that tell me that when they come to Toronto, it's very advanced. They're very surprised at the fashion. They're very impressed by the scene, you know, like the parties. And I've been to some really crazy parties in my life, and I will say that the Toronto scene is very special. And going back to what I was saying, I feel like even guys and girls, like we stand out when we go to the States. If you're from Toronto and you go to Miami, you stand out. People show love. You go to New York, same thing. Atlanta, oh bro, Atlanta, people love people from Toronto. Really? People love it.
Potential.
Yeah, man. LA, there's a lot of LA Toronto connections.
All right, man. Since the haircut's finished, I have one more question for you. If you were to give anyone at home right now who's trying to chase their dreams one piece of advice, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to keep going. I would tell them to be consistent. I would tell them, you know, you're gonna get discouraged. I get discouraged, you know, at least once a day. But you just have to push past it. You have to take it one day at a time. Your journey might not roll out the way you're expecting it to, but if you're consistent, it will evolve into something greater than you can even anticipate.
Awesome, man. This was this episode of the Cud Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to leave my guys' stuff literally down below right here, so make sure you guys go check them out, show them some love, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.